Hello, this is Algebra 1 and this is lesson 35 on factoring. So in the last lesson we saw that we could pull the greatest common factor out of a term, so like x squared or 2x squared plus 6x to the third. So we would look at each of these numbers and say what's the greatest factor of 2 and 6, which would be 2. And then what's the greatest factor of x squared and x to the third? That means we've got x times x for x squared, and then x to the third be x times x times x. Well, they both have at least two x's in them, so it would be x squared. Alright, this is going to take that same concept one step further. Not sure I like this marker. Alright, the first one is 35.1, and it's got 2ax plus 2ac, and it wants us to find the greatest common, it wants us to factor that. So first we're going to find the greatest common factor, and then we're going to see what we have left after we take that out. So both of these have a 2, both of these have an a. Okay, so then we're going to draw parentheses. What's left? So if we said 2 divided by 2, that would just be 1. We've already used the 2. And then we've already used the a, so all that's left is an x. That's this first part. Okay, then we put our plus sign. And here, we've already used the 2, and we've already used the a, so all that we have left is the c. So this part is right here, and that part is right there. Okay, now if we multiplied this back out, we rainbowed it, we said 2a times x, we would have 2ax. And then if we said 2a times c, we would have 2ac. So we're just doing the opposite of the distributive property, which is called factoring. All right, let's try another one. Okay, this one has a to the third x squared m squared plus a squared x m to the third minus a to the fourth x to the third m squared. Okay, these don't have any numbers, so we don't have to worry about finding the greatest common factor of numbers. We're just going to look at each variable. So here for a, I have a to the third, a squared, a to the fourth. I'm just going to look at these and say they at least have 2. They all have at least 2. You just go with the lowest number. So that'll be a squared. Okay. Now for the x's, x squared, x to the third. The lowest number is just 1. So I'm just going to go x. And now for the m's, I've got m squared, m to the third, and another m squared. My lowest number is m squared. Okay, so now I have to figure out what is left. Alright, so on my a's, this one has 3. I used 2, so I'm just going to have 1 left. For my x's, this has 2. I used 1. I'm going to have 1 left. For my m's, this has 2. I used 2. I'm not going to have any left, so I don't write an m. Okay, that was this first part. Now we're going to go to the second part. I used 2. This one has 2, so I used them all up. Used up all the x's. We only have 1 m left. This is m to the third, m squared. That means we've used 2 of those. M to the third means I've got m times m times m. I pulled out m squared, so that means 2 of my m's went away. I've got 1 left. Okay, then I'm going to bring down that minus sign. Okay, now on this last one, the a, I've got a squared that I've pulled out. This is a to the fourth. That means I used 2 out of these 4. I'm going to have 2 left. I used 1 out of these 3 x's. I'll have 2 left. And then I used up all of my m's. M squared, m squared. And that's that. So this is the answer. And if I rainbow that back out, I will come back up with the answer that I began with. Okay, let's try another one. This one is 4a to the third, b to the fourth, z to the third plus 2a squared, b z v to the fourth. Okay. Make sure that's right. 4a3, b to the fourth, c to the third, 2. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do, if there's numbers, I'm going to look at my numbers first. The greatest common factor of 2 and 4 would be 2. Okay. The greatest common factor of a to the third and a squared is going to be a squared. You just take the lowest exponent for each variable. Alright, now I'm on b. This lowest one is just 1b. And then on c, c to the third is the lowest. Okay, now I got to see what's left. So, if I have 4 divided by 2, I'm going to have 2 left. A to the third, I took 2 away, have 1a left. B to the fourth, took 1 away, I'm going to have b to the third. C to the third divided by z to the third, 1. Okay, so we don't have to write anything when it's 1 because it would just mean 1 times 2ab to the third, and that's going to be the same thing. Alright, 2 out of 2 would be 1. We don't have to write it. A squared, b, c to the third, c to the fourth. So I'll have 1z left over here. That's the answer to that one. So you just go one at a time through each variable and see what you have left. We're really dividing, but when you divide exponents, you just subtract them. Alright, what number was that? That was now on 35.4. This one has 6a squared x squared plus 2a to the third x to the third plus 4a to the fourth x to the third. Okay, so first I'm going to look at my numbers. What's the greatest common factor of 6, 2, and 4? That would be 2. Right, on my a's, the lowest exponent on my a's is a squared. On my x's, my lowest exponent is squared. Okay, so then I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to say 2 goes into 6 3 times. A goes into a squared just 1 time, so we're going to leave that. And then x squared divided by x squared, so I don't have any variables there. Alright, on this one, 2 goes into 2 1 time. Now I just subtract the variables. To the third minus squared would be 1a left, and that would have 1x left. 2 goes into 4 2 times, and then 4 minus 2 would be a squared, and then 3 minus 2 would be 1x left. So there's the answer to that one. So these are what your answers are going to look like. You're going to have a number out, something out here, and then more than one term inside your parentheses. Okay. Okay, 35.5. Okay. On this one, I'm going to pull out, let's see, my 3. Can't do anything with that because there's no number over here. M, my lowest number of m's is m squared. And then y, my lowest number of y's. Oh, this is supposed to be y squared as well. It would be y squared. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to see what I have left. I didn't do anything with that 3, so I'm going to leave it. 3 minus 2 would be 1m left. X, we didn't do anything with that. And then our y's. Y squared divided by y squared would be 1. They just cancel each other out. Alright, now over here, m squared, I'm not going to have anything left. Y squared won't have anything left. But I have to put something over here. So it's really m squared y squared divided by m squared y squared equals 1. So if you don't have anything left in the whole term, you're just going to put 1. Okay, so that's it for that part of the lesson. The next part of the lesson is about canceling. So we see that if we have like 4x equals 20, what we do to get rid of that is we divide by 4 and divide by 4. And right here we can cancel, and we would say x equals 5. Okay, we all know how to do that. We've been doing that. Alright, canceling, some of the problems you're going to run into are a little more complicated. So if we had x plus 4. We can't divide by 4 right here and cancel these, because what about this x? That is its own thing. We can't do x divided by 4. So it won't work on problems like that. Now if we have 4 times x plus 1 over 4, then we can cancel, because both of these are factors. That means times x plus 1. So that can cancel. 4 plus 1 over 4, those cannot cancel because it has to be multiplied times something. It can't be plus. That makes this its own term. Okay, the whole thing is its own term. As in here, we've got that and that being multiplied times each other, so we can cancel. Alright, so let's try 35.6. These are actually really easy. So we've got 4 times a minus 3 over 4. Well, here we can cancel those 4's, and we're going to have a minus 3 as the answer. Super easy. Okay? 35.7 has 3p plus 3 over 3. Now, we can't cancel those 3's, but what we can do is we can pull out the greatest common factor of this term right here. So we can say 3. Okay, so this has a 3 and this part has a 3. Times p plus 1. Okay, so when I looked over here, I said I divided 3 out of this. So if I had 3p plus 3, I could say, okay, both these terms have a 3. If I take 3 out of that, I'm just going to have p left. And if I take 3 out of that, I'm just going to have 1. Okay? 3 times p plus 1. And that all goes over top of this 3. Now I can cancel the 3's, and my answer is p plus 1. Okay? Because this is dividing both this one and this one. Okay? So you have to pull that 3 out of there. Alright. 35.8 has 3x minus 9x squared over 3x. Now, I'll give you a hint. It's usually whatever's down here. It's going to be what you're going to be pulling out of there. So we're going to factor that first. So we've got 3x minus 9x squared. Well, the greatest common factor of 3 and 9 is going to be 3. And then they both have an x. The lowest exponent on the x is the x. Okay? And then right here, 3x divided by 3x would be 1. And then 3 goes into 9 3 times. And then this 2 minus 1 would be 1x left. Okay? So it ends up being this. This is what we did at the beginning of the lesson. Alright, so we're going to have 3x times 1 minus 3x over 3x. Okay? So on that one, now we can cancel our 3x times our 3x, and our answer is 1 minus 3x. Okay? This next one, 35.9. This one says 5x minus 25x squared over 5xy. Okay, so when we look at 5x minus 25x squared, we can say, well, they both have a 5 as a factor, and they both have an x as a factor. Put my x on there. Okay, so that will be 1, because 5x goes into 5x one time. And then 5 times 5 is 25, and that still has an x left. Okay, so that's I factored that out. Alright, so I'm going to put that as my new top. 5x times 1 minus 5x over 5xy. Okay, now I cannot cancel the whole thing. I can cancel the 5, and I can cancel the x, but I'm still going to have a y on the bottom. So my answer is 1 minus 5x over y. Okay, because that y did not cancel. Alright. Okay, so that is it for examples. Go ahead and do the practice problems, and then I'll come back and do them for you. Okay, these are the practice problems for set 35. A has 15a squared z to the 8th minus 35z to the 5th a. Okay, on that one they swapped the a and the z over here to try to trip you up. First I'm going to look at my numbers, 15 and 35. Those are both divisible by 7. And then my a's, my lowest number of variables, or my lowest exponent is just 1 right here. And then on my z's, my lowest is 5, so z to the 5th. Alright, now I'm going to look at what I've got left. So 7 times, oh, nope, it wasn't 7. That should be a 5. Alright, 5 times 3 is 15. I still have 1a left, and I still have 3 z's left. 8, take away 5 is 3. Alright, and then this one, 7 times 5 is 35. Z to the 5th, I used up all my z's, I used up all my a's, so there's the answer right there, 2a. Alright, I'll do B. B is 2a squared b squared plus 2a to the 3rd b squared plus 2a to the 3rd b to the 6th. Okay, on this one I'm going to look at my numbers first, and they all have 2 as a factor, so I'm going to put a 2. Then I'm going to look at my a's. My lowest number here is 2. Then I've got a 3 and another 3, so my lowest a is a squared. And my b's I've got squared into the 6, so I've got b squared as my lowest. Okay, there's my greatest common factor. Now I'm going to see what's left. 2 divided by 2 will be 1. A squared divided by a squared will be 1, and b, that would all be just 1. Okay, because all this is exactly the same as that. Alright, and then my 2's, don't have anything left. A to the 3rd, I do have 1a left, don't have any b's left. Alright, so then move on to the next term. My a's, a to the 3rd, I got an a left, and then I've got 4 b's left. Alright, and there is the answer to B. There. So 2a squared b squared times 1 plus ab to the 4th. Alright, now let's try C. C is 4 minus 4x over 4. Okay, so what I have to do is on my top, I've got to pull out a greatest common factor. I've got to factor that. So this has a 4 and this term has a 4, so I'm going to say 4. 4 goes into 4 one time, and that would be 1x. So I'm just going to put x. All that goes over 4. So if I multiplied that out, I'd have 4 minus 4x. I just did the opposite of that. Those cancel, so my answer is 1 minus x. Okay, try D. D is 7x minus 49 x squared over 7x. Alright, so I can see that this has 7 and this the 49 and the 7, the greatest common factor is 7, and then those both have at least one x. So I'm going to pull out 7x out of there, and that would just be 1 at the beginning. 7 goes into 7. 7 times 7 is 49, so 7 times, and then we got another x left, and that all goes over 7x. Now I can cancel here, and my answer is 1 minus 7x. So that's the answer to D. Alright, hopefully that wasn't too super confusing. It just kind of was an extension of what we learned in class the other day. Alright, so do lesson 35 for homework, and if you're not going to be there on Wednesday, that's fine. Just bring it the next week. Alright, thanks. Bye.